Hey guys, it's Moo. Jayce is a prolific champ in competitive play and high elo. He's got insane early to mid game pressure and is a champ you can show how skilled you are on. In the current meta, he's exceptionally strong in the top lane and can also be played in the mid lane. So let's get into the guide, and as usual there are timestamps below. Jayce's passive is Hextech Capacitor. When Jayce uses his ultimate, he gains 40 move speed and ignores unit collision briefly. Since Jayce's kit revolves around his ultimate, let's talk about it next, which is Mercury Cannon or Mercury Hammer. Jayce has two forms, either his cannon form or his hammer form, which he can swap between by using his ultimate. He has different basic abilities based on which form he is in. We'll have some different stats based on which form he's in, and the first attack after changing forms will be empowered. In Jayce's cannon form, he has 500 range, and the first auto will reduce a percentage of the target's armor and MR for the next 5 seconds. In his hammer form, he becomes melee range, gains armor and magic resist, and will have bonus magic damage on his next auto attack. There are a few things to keep in mind when swapping forms. First of all, you'll want to be constantly changing forms when you're going back to lane or moving around the map, because of the move speed you get from your passive. If you think you're going to be taking a large amount of burst damage, switch to your hammer form, because you'll get a lot tankier with the bonus stats you get from it. If you're going for an all-in, make sure to auto with your empowered cannon form, because you'll deal a lot more damage after using that. Jayce's Q is To the Skies. He leaps to a target, slows, and deals physical damage. The thing to keep in mind with this ability is that it does damage in an area around it, so you can jump to a minion and still deal damage to a champion if they are out of range. Jayce's W is Lightning Field. Passively, when Jayce auto attacks in hammer form, he regains mana. When activated, he surrounds himself with an electric field for 4 seconds, dealing magic damage each second. Jayce's E is Thundering Blow. Jayce knocks back a target, dealing max health physical damage. The interesting part about this ability is that if you time it well, you can interrupt dashes and blinks. Jayce's Q is Shock Blast. He fires a skill shot that detonates on the first enemy hit or reaching the end of the path, dealing physical damage around it. Jayce's W is Hypercharge. Jayce's next 3 auto attacks come out at max attack speed and deal a modified amount of damage based on rank. This ability will reset Jayce's auto attack timer, so get in an auto first before using this skill. Jayce's E is Acceleration Gate. Jayce deploys a gate that gives bonus decaying move speed over 3 seconds to everybody that walks through it. Let's talk about combos on Jayce. The most important combo on Jayce is his Cannon EQ combo. Using Shock Blast through your Acceleration Gate will increase the speed and the damage of the Shock Blast. Make sure to cast your Q before you put down your gate to surprise your enemy, and cast your gate as close to yourself as possible to have it firing at a quicker speed so the enemy has less time to react. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you use your Hypercharge, the attack speed buff will stay in your hammer form. So for an all-in combo, make sure to use that before you jump in. Keystones on Jayce are in a bit of a weird spot right now with lots of variability. A lot of people are taking Conquer on him right now, but I suspect with more nerfs coming to that rune it won't be viable on him. The most common rune after that would be Aerie for top lane. Aerie is great for harass with constant auto attacks you'll be getting off on your opposing lane opponent. A great thing with Aerie is that your Acceleration Gate will give a shield to a team member. For the rest of the runes you'll want to take Mana Flow Ban because it helps Jayce with spamming his spells. Absolute Focus because you'll be harassing at range a lot and you won't need Transcendence because your build will give you 40% CDR, and Celerity isn't a great rune. Then take Gathering Storm because none of the other runes in that tree are great. You can also change to Phase Rush against ranged matchups or if you feel it's appropriate against your lane. The choice between these is preference, but right now I've been preferring Aerie because of the extra bully potential. Electrocute is also an option and taken more often mid lane rather than top because of the extra burst potential, but is also viable top lane. The inverse is true for Aerie. It's not super common mid, but it's still usable. For your secondary tree, choose between Inspiration, Domination, or Sorcery, depending on what keystone you have. Right now, I've been really liking taking Inspiration with Biscuits and Time Warp Tonic, because you'll be able to trade so much in lane with the sustain you'll have. But overall, the secondary tree is preference within reason. For starting items on Jayce, choose between Corrupting Potion and Dorn's Blade. I've been preferring the Corrupting Potion start at the moment, especially for top lane, because of the sustain and trade potential. Pairing it with Biscuits and Time Warp Tonic makes your trading insane, and will make it very difficult for you to lose lane. For your first item, majority of the time it will be Youmuu's. It's a really nice spike on one item, making you deal lots of damage with the lethality. The bonus move speed it gives you also gives you insane map movement. After that, I'll usually follow with Duskblade to double down on the lethality and make your burst insane. After that, I'll get Black Cleaver to max out the amount of CDR you have and get the maximum penetration possible. These 3 items are built on Jayce nearly every game, but not necessarily in that order. For example, you could rush Black Cleaver if you've fallen behind or are against a super tank like Scion and need to have as much pen as possible. You could also build Black Cleaver second and Duskblade third, or not even build Black Cleaver, in very specific scenarios where they aren't building any armor at all. But in general, stick to those 3. Items like Guardian Angel, Edge of Night, a Last Whisper item, Maw of Malmortius, and Mercurial Scimitar are all viable options on him. There is a build with Blade of the Rune King on Jayce for tank shredding, but to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this build, as it's hard to get maximum effectiveness from it and the attack speed is not a good stat on Jayce. Skill order on Jayce is very straightforward. Max Q, then W, then E. Pretty simple stuff. But Jayce is the only champ where his abilities have 6 points in them, and you cannot rank up his ultimate. Level 1 you'll normally want to start Q, followed by either W or E depending on your lane. Jayce is extremely strong in the lane phase and should be able to win nearly every lane he's in. If he doesn't outright win the lane he's in, it will be a skill matchup. Certain lanes are harder than others, such as Yorick, but it's still winnable. Playing aggressive on Jayce is extremely important. Make sure to contest every single CS with an auto attack. Make sure not to give up your own CS for harass though, which can happen if you're focusing on harassing. Constantly be looking for all-ins, especially pre-6 because you have 3 more abilities than your opponent at that point, so you'll be able to exert massive pressure. Having your jungler invade is great with Jayce because of how strong he is early, so you'll be able to move first and help your jungler. Similarly, having a jungler gank your lane and snowball you will insanely benefit you and your jungler from the pressure you can put out. Ideally, have a duo queue partner playing jungle when you play Jayce for optimal usage of the champion. Mid-game is your strongest point on Jayce. You'll have crazy burst and annihilate squishies. A great thing about Jayce as well is that you'll absolutely destroy turrets with your hypercharge. Additionally, your empowered auto attack and hammer form will deal extra damage to turrets, so structures fall insanely quickly to you. At this point on Jayce, you should be rotating around the map trying to get the turrets and accelerate the game, because you're so good at that. Your poke is also insane at this point with your shock blast combo. It will chunk half of a champ's HP bar if you hit them with it. The biggest problem on Jayce is that he falls off very hard late game, so you should try your best to end the game before 35 minutes or your impact will be severely reduced. For team fighting on Jayce, you want to start off by poking with long range spells and auto attacks, and then when you see an opportunity to dive in and assassinate squishies. Knowing when to dive in on Jayce is also key because you can get completely blown up if you jump in at the wrong time. Jayce is so strong right now because of the current meta being centered around early to mid game where Jayce is extremely powerful. Especially with turret plating, he can build a crazy lead and take over the game. Be wary that if you fall behind on Jayce, you will be exceptionally useless. But if you get ahead on him, you'll be able to carry the game by yourself. Thanks for watching the guide everyone. Make sure to follow myself and Phelan Gaming on Twitter. And look out for our games in the LVP UK League every Wednesday. See ya!